Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, alongside my guys, Mr. Jaevon Toddy and Mr. Kevin Dent. We're back for another episode number 171. We took last week off. This is my first episode in a couple weeks, as I was out of town a couple weeks ago when the guys brought you the 170th episode of Stats Over Politics. The three of us are back together again. And here we are, Mr. Jaevon Toddy. For the audio-only listeners, could you just tell them the celebration that you were just doing as I began the intro?
This is like a celebration that everyone does. Cam Ward does this one. Everybody, all the receivers do it. I didn't play in the Turkey Bowl this year, but I had all of my first down celebrations propped up and ready to go. I was out due to injury. Didn't get off the IR soon enough, so. Had a bunch ready to go. A bunch of the little cousins were very disappointed that I did not show up. Some might say I was scared, but I wouldn't say that. I would say my hamstrings weren't intact. But we played today, right now, today, maybe next week or later on this week, I'll be ready to go.
Well, you are a father of two boys now, so congratulations on that announcement. And once you get into pod fatherhood, you tend to have your hamstrings tighten up a little bit. And so congratulations to you and Soph on the announcement of your baby boy on the way.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I didn't really have any say on the little photo shoot. I was just told where to go. what to wear, and just show up. Bring yourself, bring your person, just follow my lead. Yeah, I thought it was really cool the whole entire time. Was shout out to her aunts for making it happen for the photo shoot, and just the whole process was pretty cool. So wanted to just be just us, really. She didn't want to have like a big old thing, really. She just wanted it to be just close knit. We'll post something, and yeah, it was pretty cool. Got a really lot of positive feedback. Apparently, people like babies, so that's pretty cool. But no, it was just good to see everyone kind of reach out. It's very heartwarming. I'm not really one to just go out and say, "Hey guys, look at me having another kid." But no, if someone's down to do it, then I really don't have a choice. I really don't have a choice. So, but it was cool though. It was really cool. The reveal was pretty funny because I don't know if you could really tell, like in the video, like when Mako's like running up to us, he's actually bawling out crying. he's bawling crying the entire time. So but like it took us a bunch of times to like, because he kept on like running around, running the opposite direction with the bear. And we like had to like keep redoing it. And I kept like having to like turn around so I wouldn't see. And Soph like turned around. She had saw what was happening. And she was like, just stay this way. So we finally got a pretty good take, and it was cool. Really wholesome moment, I would say. But yeah, I don't think once Mako's he's gonna have a lot of fun once he realizes he has a younger brother, somebody he could beat up on, because he likes to beat up on all his other cousins. So.
Yeah, I agree. And even though the 49ers were on a bye this week, they still are on a winning streak. And for that, it's a victory Monday. Shout out to Mako for that. But before we get to Kevin, the Instagram comments have just been absolutely flying to start today's show. I tried to import as many as I could during the intro music. I got a couple that I can import onto the ticker, and then I'm going to have to read the rest real quickly because, Kevin, there's a lot for you to respond to. Starting off with Juan in a Million says SMD, multiple letters in there. You can figure out what SMD means. He also says bolt up with a bunch of lightning bolts in the comments. And also shout out to T, as at Dat Niner Chick says, somebody check on Kev. He is not okay with 3 straight L's. Then she also says, Mama T is trolling for real. And just getting to a couple of the other comments that I wasn't able to import. One in a Million says, where is Kevin? Dat Niner Chick says, Kev, look up. One in a Million also says, hashtag Freaky Vonnie. And then Dat Niner Chick also says, happy Grammy. I love it. And so we appreciate you guys for tapping in with us on Instagram and engaging at Stats Over Politics. And also, I see you, Gray Wolf, on YouTube. We appreciate you always tuning in. I'll highlight those comments in a moment. But before we get to Gray Wolf, Kevin, I want to know, just status update. How are you doing on this Monday night?
I'm great, man. I definitely see where Toddy gets the trolling from. Because I know we always talk about the group chat and what happens before the show. Toddy came on here and said, "Oh, Kevin, are you guys not going to make playoffs? I don't know. I think the Niners are the second seed." And I said, "Toddy, you know ball. What are we doing here?" So Toddy's on a high horse right now. Mama T's on a high horse right now. Charger fans are on a high horse. Last time since they were in St. Louis. So I'm happy that everybody's doing well. I'm good out here. I show up, win or loss.
Yeah, we appreciate that. As Kevin lets Blue know not to get so excited about a Chargers victory over their Eagles. But yeah, Juan is quite excited. The Chargers are looking the best that they have since their days back in San Diego when Phillip Rivers was leading the squad. And now Phillip Rivers, at 44 years old, might end up becoming a member of the Indianapolis Colts again, Jaevon, because Daniel Jones, he's out for the year with an Achilles, which is really sad. And we'll get to that later on in our speedy Week 14 NFL recap. But before we get there, I just wanted to highlight a couple more comments. These ones are via YouTube. We appreciate you all for tuning in on the Stats Over Politics YouTube page. As Gray Wolf always tuning in, says, good evening, gentlemen. I called it 3 weeks. Even though the Bears lead the league for 1 week, it still happened nonetheless. And so shout out to Gray Wolf for getting that right. Shout out to Jaevon because he has been all over the Chicago Bears, maybe a year too early, but he has been all over the Chicago Bears this season, and it's looking great this year so far. And also shout out to Uncle Manny, who says, have a great show, with a laughing emoji. I know as a Dallas Cowboys fan that he is eating up this Philadelphia 3-game losing streak. And so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. As the Chargers beat the Eagles 22-19, and we just saw it on Monday Night Football. It was quite a defensive battle that ended up going into overtime, and then the Chargers are able to pull it out, getting a game-tying field goal from Cameron Dicker, the kicker, at the end of regulation. Then on the first drive of OT, he puts them ahead with what was ultimately the go-ahead field goal. Philadelphia looks like they have a chance, Jaevon, to not only tie it, but then after a neutral zone infraction on the Chargers, it looks like the Eagles were poised to win this game, but a red zone interception by Philadelphia at the end. And now the Eagles are on a 3-game losing streak, including against your other NFC team, the Chicago Bears, on Black Friday. But when it comes to Monday Night Football, Jaevon, what was your reaction to the Chargers beating the Eagles 22-19 in a battle of 8-4 teams?
Yeah, this game was you wondered going into this game the health of Justin Herbert.
I'm not sure if this is only on my end, but it looks like Jaevon has froze out for a little bit. Hopefully we can get those technical difficulties handled, as Kevin had to step away for a moment. And while we get Jaevon back from technical difficulties, I see you moving around a little bit, Toddy. Can you hear me? Do you see me? You're a little buffered out on my end, and so we apologize to the listeners for that. Toddy, can you hear me? Can you see me?
I'm back just in time because Toddy is frozen.
All right, so you're seeing that on your end too. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Kevin, tossing it to you. Obviously, this is your squad, but what was your reaction to the Chargers beating your Eagles 22-19 to send Philly on a 3-game losing streak?
Tough watch, man. Tough watch all around. Defense had 9 sacks, and for us to say we had 9 sacks and lost the game, it's hard to see. A.J. Brown, every game, he's always in the narrative. He's always the headline on all his talking heads, and essentially dropped 2 touchdowns. We need him to make those plays. We pay him to make those plays. I know everyone wants to talk about the elephant in the room, so let's talk about it. Jalen Hurts, 4 picks. I was talking to Shaun about it before the show, and if you guys have been watching this podcast for a long time, I've been a big advocate for there needs to be a separate category for interceptions that aren't the quarterback's fault. A.J. Brown, right through his hands, pick. We throw a curl route, Smitty eats nothing but turf, pick. And it's like, I mean, yes, at the end of the day, it's going to say 4 interceptions by Jalen Hurts. I think he threw 2, the last one and then the one to the D lineman. So we got to play better as an offense. I do not understand why we continuously try to run the ball when we literally have no run game. And everyone's going to say, Kevin's 56-yard run, Saquon. It was a fake tush push. Everyone in the stand said they're doing a tush push. So they played the middle. And that's why it was so open on the outside. So there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, things that we need to fix. But defensively, we played great. Justin Herbert led the team in rushing. Would have never guessed that. 56 yards. Even with one hand, he was out there dotting us up. There's a lot of plays, like I said, that we missed. But Mama T, I'm here every Monday. Win, lose, tie, or draw. That's the one thing about this podcast. We're going to show up. We'll talk a lot of shit. We'll throw a lot of jabs, but we're going to show up for you guys no matter what. So, tough loss. Would have loved to see us pull that one out. We are now on a 3-game still. We went on a 2-game streak. We won 4 games in a row, and now we've lost 3 games in a row. One game where we were up 24 points to the Dallas Cowboys. So it's an up and down roller coaster. It's a lot of football left to be played. And like Shaun said before the podcast, you guys didn't hear, it's a nice thing to have a cakewalk in your division. Because if we were in any other division, the Bears went from damn near being number one in the NFC to 7. So it's the NFC is wide open. You have teams that are just coming out of nowhere. Teams that we thought were going to be really good at the beginning, and then they're kind of just tailing off, and same with the AFC. So it's going to be literally 17 weeks, and then we'll know how the playoffs are going to look. But as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm not worried. And now if we were to go on a 2023 fall and we just lose the rest of these games, Nick Sirianni to be fired. And then shit's going to get tricky. But until then, we got the 3-10 Commanders next. And then we got the Raiders. So games that we can definitely win. We got the Commanders twice and the Raiders. So that's 3 wins. But who knows?
Yeah, luckily for the Eagles, you're getting to the cakewalk part of your schedule as the 49ers are currently on right now. And I recognize that as a fan, going into it after that terrible loss at home against the Rams, I was looking ahead at the schedule and I was like, okay, these next 4 games have to be wins. And now for the Eagles, these next 2 games have to be wins. Otherwise, you will start feeling worried because the Commanders with a Jaden Daniels going in and out, and Washington's just had a terrible season to follow up on their NFC Championship game run last year. And then the Raiders are out here just worrying about what the over and under are in the point spread out there in Vegas with their field goal with 5 seconds left, trailing by 10. And so the Eagles definitely are primed to bounce back. It's just a matter of if they will, and I'm confident that they will, just because they are the reigning defending undisputed Super Bowl champions for a reason. And until someone knocks them out, I'm convinced that the Eagles will be just fine. It's just a matter of how they'll do when they get to the playoffs, if they get there, because as you were alluding to with the Bears, the NFC, it's real tight right now. And a couple of bad weeks could end up knocking you out of the playoffs. Luckily for the Eagles, they had their bad weeks. It seems like they've gotten them over with just when it comes to the competition level that they've faced over the last 3 weeks. I mean, we like to talk a lot of shit about the Cowboys, but the Cowboys offense has been really great, and the defense has been a lot better since the trade deadline until they give up 44 points on the road against the Detroit Lions on Thursday Night Football. But nevertheless, the Eagles haven't necessarily lost to bad teams. And so I understand why you're not too concerned. And our guy, Kaz Johnson, I'm sure he's not too concerned as well. As we now bring back Mr. Jaevon Toddy back here on episode number 171. We see you, we got you. And
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And as Grey Wolf was saying, mannequin challenge. He's frozen. Sometimes I feel like it's my own Wi-Fi. That's like why I may be seeing like one of you frozen. And so I was worried that it was on my end. And so I'm glad that you're back, Jaevon. What was your reaction to the Chargers beating the Eagles 22-19?
Yeah, so I was kind of going into it earlier, but your son unplugs the Wi-Fi. Can't really
that's
really
what happened.
That's
Got
what
it.
Get to. So, as I was saying kind of earlier, there was a lot kind of going into the game, just as far as Justin Herbert's health, not really knowing what his hand, his non-throwing hand, what it was going to look like. I think he had a glove over it, and he had surgery on his hand. Literally earlier, like I think late last week, earlier in the week, last week after the game. So I do think this Monday night game might have helped him a little bit, give him an extra day to prepare. But he was kind of out there running around, stiff arming people, was broken in. I thought that was pretty insane. Turned the ball over a couple of times. I do think that like, let's not all bash Kevin. Okay, let's just leave him alone. We get it. Eagles lost. I don't think the Chargers offense played particularly well. Nor did, God, Jalen Hurts by himself. that's a whole nother story. I do think the defense for the Eagles definitely responded. There were a couple of key. I thought Hurts, when he turned the ball over, it was very opportune for the Chargers defense. Like Jalen Hurts was turning the ball over on their side of the field, like in plus territory, like they could have gotten points off of these turnovers. And obviously, the last turnover that he had was in the red zone, and it was to win the game, going to A.J. Brown, a guy who has constantly asked for the ball time and time again. Amarion Hampton came back after 7 games. I thought he looked pretty poised. He looked really well. Vidal had the big run in the first quarter. The big catch that he had turned into a 60-yard game. Thought that was huge for them early on. Yeah, man, I think it kind of just comes down to Jalen Hurts had 5 turnovers. It's just, well, you can't. Yeah, Kevin will even tell you it's tough to beat anybody with 5 turnovers in a game. That's just anybody in the NFL. I mean, the Eagles went into overtime and they still had a chance to win this game with 4 turnovers, and the 5th one was the nail in the coffin, obviously. And the Chargers are a team who have been a revolving door at the offensive line position, and they are somehow figuring out ways to stack up victories. And this was a huge win for the Chargers, who are still kind of, they're not out of the woods yet for the AFC West title, but I think it's going to be a tall task for them. I'm not sure how many times they played the Broncos. I'm not sure if they have played the Broncos this year, if I'm not mistaken. But this was a huge one for the Chargers going into it. Now becoming 9-4 on the year. I do think the Eagles are in a weird spot. Kevin, I don't know if you talked about this earlier a couple of years ago. They free-falled after starting 10-1. This is very, very similar to this same instance. It's just a different. It's the same actors, but a different movie. It's the same actors, but it's just a different movie, different year. A lot of guys are a lot richer now. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and you got other guys coming in. You got Jalen Phillips now, who's obviously different, but it's the Eagles are definitely trending down, and Kevin's gonna be the fan and say, hey, we're still going to make the playoffs. We're still going to do this. We're still going to do that. It's not out of the realm of possibility that the Eagles could just slide on out. Because the NFC West, you're just seeing a lot of 9 wins here, 8 wins there. And the NFC West itself has 3 teams that are 9-4. I think the Rams are
9-4,
10-2. Are they 10-2 or 10-3?
I believe that the Rams are 10-3.
Yeah, they're 10-3. So I mean, the Niners, Rams, and Seahawks are battling for one spot in the division, and that's going to determine who's going to be top of the NFC West. The Bears just lost yesterday, and they still have 8 wins, 9 wins, and they just slid all the way down to the 7th spot. So the NFC is just, you got to fight and claw to get to where you need to be in this division, or in this conference, that is. And I think going forward, every game definitely matters. Doesn't matter who you're playing. If you drop a game, it could come down to you don't control your own destiny. So for the Eagles standpoint, they do control their own destiny still. They just got to keep winning their games. But it's not as easy as it sounds. I know they got the Commanders, got the Bills in there. That Bills game is going to be very, very.
Got the Raiders.
Yeah, got the Raiders, got the Commanders in there. Got
Commanders
the
twice.
Game. Yeah, so that helps for you. I guess that helps for Kevin. He's very excited about that. JD's probably out for the rest of the year, but who's telling? There's no telling what this Eagles team, what they can and cannot do moving forward. I don't know. I do think Patullo is definitely out of there by the end of the year. Kevin could probably tell you that. They cannot afford to lose. They could probably afford to lose maybe one more game, but if they lose 1 or 2 more games,
Brother, we could lose 3 games and still make the playoffs.
love the
I mean,
confidence.
could you though? Well, yes, I guess because division
we're
winner.
banking on the Cowboys to win 4 in a row and still not win. They have to.
That's fair.
The next game they lose, they're done. They have a 3% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
the next loss
fair.
they have, you'll get the graphic. Dallas Cowboys eliminated from playoff contention.
Get the graphic.
They got the Vikings, the Chargers, Commanders, and Giants.
I'm looking forward to that graphic. As Uncle Manny is tuned in on YouTube, as we saw earlier, and we won't have time to answer this question because we got to get to the next game. But he says, why is Philly scared to pass the ball with those wide receivers? Don't they trust Hurts? And also, Isley TV says on Twitch, Kaz decided to take the night off, huh? He's not taking the night off. Kaz is a reoccurring guest on the podcast, so we appreciate any time that he can join us. But he was out enjoying the game with his roommate, who is a Chargers fan, as he should.
I don't know how much he was enjoying the game.
Before we move on, I'll be really, really quick. Uncle Manny,
yeah.
A.J. Brown had 14 targets. Dallas Goedert had 11, and Smitty had 10.
And Jalen Hurts had 3 interceptions.
He had 4.
Oh, my bad.
Well, speaking of another quarterback who had a lot of interceptions, on Instagram at BigMun73 says, at least it won't be the Chiefs and Eagles in the Super Bowl this year. And I think that has a lot more to do with the former rather than the latter being Kansas City, as on Sunday Night Football, the Texans beat the Chiefs 20-10. And Patrick Mahomes, he was out there slinging interceptions left and right. Some of them were not his fault, especially the last one, as Travis Kelce had the catch, as Toddy was just mimicking. He basically bobbled it and let the Texans cornerback come in and intercept it right behind him. Yeah, Petrie, he basically just handed it to him. But nevertheless, the Texans beat the Chiefs 20-10, and the episode title for today says, are the Chiefs cooked? I think it's time to edit it to the Chiefs are cooked, at least in my opinion. But Jaevon, what say you? What was your reaction to this one?
Well, I think you got to give a lot of credit to this defense. I think D'Amico Ryans, as us Niner fans know, what he's capable of on the defensive end of the ball. I do think the addition of getting your star quarterback back in C.J. Stroud does help a lot. Nico Collins had over 100 yards in this game. Woody Marks was out there making plays. I do think I think we saw with the Chiefs, hey man, I'm going to keep going back to the same analogy. Chiefs are that kid at the country club whose card keeps getting declined, and he keeps screaming and yelling at him, do you know who my father is? Do you know what I've been through? Do you know what I've been and what my family does? And nobody wants to hear it, man. They're just like, you're old news, you're washed. It's like when Andy is dropping Buzz and Woody in the dream and says, I don't want to play with you anymore, and just drops them. Hey, man. NFL will chew you up and switch you out any which way. And a lot of people are starting to come for Andy Reid. And I'm like, whoa, hey, this is one of the greatest coaches ever. They're saying they didn't like – I understand where fans are coming from going for it on 4th down in literally like on your own 20-yard line. But they literally couldn't get the ball moving in any way possible. I did see another stat that Patrick Mahomes, the first time ever in his career, he had like 10 straight incompletions. That was pretty insane. But a lot of those were just drops and interceptions, and they kind of all added up together to obviously be incompletions. But I've been kind of just hinting at it that, hey, man, the Chiefs aren't that good. Hey, guys, Chiefs are, well, it's Patrick Mahomes, man. Don't even worry about it. It's Patty Mahomes. And, hey, guys, Chiefs keep losing games. I don't know what it is. It's just they're 6-7, guys. When are we going to – I still think people are gambling on the Chiefs to win or to win the Super Bowl still. Well, it's Patrick. All they got to do is get in the dance, man. But it's just they got all these losses. And these teams that they're looking up at, like the Jags, like the Colts, or I mean, they beat the Colts, but I mean, the Texans are another team that are kind of fighting and scrapping and clawing for that last playoff spot. And they're just, it's getting to a point where the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. And this might be good for them. This might just be good. Maybe they need a top 15 pick, a top 12, 11, 13. Like, they might need just a little bit of a reset and say, hey, as I am looking at my phone, as Kevin and Shaun are both looking at our phones, and they are going crazy in Stats Over Politics group chat. Kevin is not going to let up. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what's going on.
Toddy,
I be live on air, and Kevin's going to just be, he's going at it with any and everybody. These are our people that are watching the show currently. But as far as the Chiefs, and they gotta just, I don't know what it is, because they're not buttoned up all the way. They're a bunch of older superstars who are like, past their prime, like Chris Jones. There's Travis Kelce. You know, they haven't really been performing and Patrick Mahomes hasn't been performing like the quarterback that we've seen in past years. So I just think this is the year for them to kind of like, hey, maybe this just ain't it. I don't think they realize that yet, but they are 7-6 or 6-7, and it's starting to get to the point where, like, okay, let's take a step back. I'm not saying they punt on the season, but it's just like, all right, we're probably not going to make the playoffs. Let's just regroup. We'll get back into next year, and we'll figure it out from there. But there's definitely going to be changes to this roster going into the offseason. As far as the Texans go, Texans are right. Those couple of weeks where C.J. Stroud was out of the lineup, they had Davis Mills, and they kind of were, carried by that defense. It helped a ton. And as you're seeing with the Colts, starting to free fall a little bit, so that's just there's gonna be a team that's probably gonna end up trading places with them, unless the Colts, go out and get Phillip Rivers, and maybe he's able to salvage their season. I'm not sure about that, but the Chiefs are cooked.
At least Joe Flacco. At least we've seen him play. Phillip Rivers ain't touching football.
I know they went straight to Phillip Rivers, who was retired and is a high school football coach at the time.
Well, it's also because we've surpassed the trade deadline, and like I saw someone say, would it be wrong for the Colts to call the Bengals and say, hey, could you please just release Joe Flacco? Like, Burrow's back now. Like, just release him so we can sign him. But obviously that's not going to be the case. So old man Rivers with his 47 children is going to go out there. And Toddy, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought. I looked down at my phone and I saw that there was 30 messages from the Stats of Politics.
Kevin's going at it.
Group chat.
It's not Kevin going at it. It's that people want to message during the game. So I got to scroll back, and I just can't let people just spew out.
Doesn't matter if we're live on air. Kevin's gonna defend his team, no matter what's going on. He's gonna be there.
This has nothing to do with the Eagles. You're not even reading the chat. Nothing to do with the Eagles. People talking about Dak Prescott.
Well, as Kevin was alluding to, he doesn't really look at his phone during Eagle games. He just doesn't look at his phone at all. So he saw the messages from during the game, and then he responded to a couple from after the game. There were people in our fantasy football group chat who started saying, "Oh, I'll take 15 quarterbacks over Jalen Hurts." And then Kevin's reply was, "I'll take 16 over Dak Prescott." And so then someone told him to name them. And so then Kevin proceeds to name 16 quarterbacks. And he even threw in Fernando Mendoza of Indiana University, the number one team in the country, which we'll get to the college football playoff bracket a little bit later. But just keeping things moving, Kevin. What was your reaction?
Dude, the Chiefs stink. And they're going to find a way to make the playoffs. There's not a way in the world where they don't make the playoffs, because the Texans have to play the Jags, I think, twice to end the year. So the Chiefs win out and the Jags lose both of those games, or the Texans lose both of those games. It's going to be a toss-up. And it does, unfortunately, suck because the Texans have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. So the Texans would essentially have to just win out, and the Jags start to lose, because I speak for all three of us. I believe I don't think the Colts are going to win another game. They're crumbling at this point. But the Chiefs have a lot to go, and I don't know where they go from here because Travis Kelce's not going to come back. They have no running game. Jonathan Simmons from the Ohio State got hurt. So everything that they had going for them is falling apart, and this defense is abysmal. And you have to pay a lot of guys. So do you pay these guys? Do you let the guys like Chris Jones and Travis Kelce leave? Does Patrick Mahomes want to stick around for that? Is Andy Reid going to stick around for that? Like, there's a lot of questions that come around before we even talk about what this Chiefs team's going to be. So they have to go all in and gather all that dark magic that they can.
I feel like at this point, it's not even going to be an option for the Chiefs of whether they bring Travis Kelce back. I feel like he's walking away after this season. He's going to retire. And Chris Jones, I don't know about him, but Travis Kelce.
Talk to Jalen Hurts, bro. It's been downhill.
Yeah, well, the Eagles are currently on a 3-game losing streak, but the Eagles can have their head held high, not only as the reigning Super Bowl champions, but
how does the conversation go back to the Eagles?
Because you just mentioned Jalen Hurts, but the reason
the 3-game losing streak.
Okay, but I was building up to prop y'all up. You just had to give me a moment.
Then promise us to start and then go down.
Oh, so you would rather have me prop you up and then cut you down at the end?
Yeah, I'm already down. So I'm saying, Kevin,
okay,
you know what?
all right.
Really as good. You guys can see,
but
Kevin
you have a
3-game
losing streak. So
he's on a 3-game losing streak. He doesn't know what to say. Everyone's kicking. Everyone's punching at him. Everyone's punching down at him.
Well, I wanted to try and well, yeah, for another couple months while the Eagles are the reigning champions. But Kevin, all I was gonna say is that I already said what I said. Despite where the Eagles are today, after the last 3 weeks, they are the reigning Super Bowl champions. And if Travis Kelce retires, then the Eagles basically ended the Chiefs as we know them. Patrick Mahomes may go on to win more Super Bowls in his career, but it's not going to be the same Chiefs team without Travis Kelce. And the Eagles are the ones who ended that. And so for that, I give you a golf clap because
that's what I'm talking
about. That's something that the 49ers could not do. As Mako Toddy makes a quick appearance here on the podcast. Shout out to him, the new big brother. But yeah, that's something that my 49ers could not do, Kevin. And so props to the Eagles for that. And you know the craziest part, the only thing I'll really add on about this game, because I know we got to keep it moving, but the emotion that I felt throughout this game was almost like I just expected the Chiefs to just get going. I expected them to get going late, and I just expected them to find a way to win the game. And I felt that way when I was watching the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving as well, because going into that Cowboys game, everyone was saying, oh, the Chiefs are going to win out. They're going to make the playoffs. Then going into the Texans game, it was the same narrative. Now, even after they lost both of those games, everyone's still feeling the same way about the Chiefs, where it's like they're still going to find, until they are mathematically eliminated. I think it's fair for a lot of people to still expect the Chiefs to find a way to get into the playoffs. Who knows what they're going to do this year when they get there, because they'll be on the road the entire time if they get there, because now they officially cannot win the AFC West again. But the feeling that I had watching that game was not only expecting the Chiefs to find a way to win that game, but also, Toddy, I don't know if you felt this way at all, but it almost felt bittersweet to me, like seeing the end of this Chiefs run that they've been on currently. And it was bittersweet just for the fact of I was thinking to myself, fuck, why couldn't the 49ers do this? Why couldn't they be the ones to end it? They had them on the ropes, sent the Super Bowl into overtime, and then they didn't know the damn rules. And so it's like, yeah, I'm happy for the Chiefs' misery and to see them fall. But it just makes me think back to those 2 Super Bowl losses and just think, like, why couldn't this have happened sooner? And I want to be happier about the Chiefs' fall from grace, but I just keep thinking back to what our team couldn't do. And that's me personally, but that's what I wanted to share regarding the Texans beating the Chiefs 20-10. I'm happy for DeMeco Ryans to try and exercise some of those demons by taking out Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. And so now, guys, let's get to our speedy Week 14 NFL recap. And we're starting it off with the Lions beating the Cowboys 44-30. Kevin, I'm going to toss this one to you since you were just going at it with some Cowboys fans.
Belt to ass. I mean, this is what we're used to. We every week one, Shaun posts the graphic of the Cowboys, and it's really, really good. Then it's we're winning the NFC Championship. Then it's we're winning the Super Bowl. Then it's the divisional round loss, and then it's the graphic. So hats off to the Lions. Everyone can't hold the Lions to 10 points.
And now this next game, Jaevon, is the Dolphins beating the Jets 34-10.
I had the Dolphins minus 2.5 in this game, so that was pretty easy. Had Adonai Mitchell on my. I'm just gonna put the word out here. I don't care about my fantasy team anymore. So
we know
I've been dead
Quitter
for about 3 to 4 weeks now. Is what it is.
I got the number 1 seed.
Made a couple of plays here and there, but yeah, it was built to happen.
And I got this next game as the Steelers beat the Ravens 27-22. And the craziest stat that I saw from going into this game is that during their rivalry matchup, John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are 15-15 against each other, and their average points is damn near even. And so I thought that was pretty crazy. The Ravens had a chance to win this one late, but then it gets called back. And the Steelers, they find a way. And now Pittsburgh's 7-6, Baltimore is 6-7. And I just keep looking at that AFC North, which we thought was going to be the best, one of the best divisions in football going into this season. And now a team with 9 wins, maybe 10 wins, ends up winning the division. And I just think, as a fan of a team in the NFC West, I just think, why couldn't my team be in a division like that? Because it would be a cakewalk to the playoffs. As Kevin, this next game that we're getting to is a shocker. The Saints beat the Buccaneers 24-20.
Dude, this game was a fucking crazy game. Tyler Shuck, I was just talking to one of my coworkers actually, and they were talking about this. He's a Saints fan. He's like, we'll get a quarterback. I was like, dude, you just drafted Tyler Shuck. Like, give him a chance. At least, like, there's no way. Like, only Josh Rosen is the only quarterback to get drafted and replaced the next season. You draft a guy in the first round, you give him a chance. And for him to rush for 2 touchdowns and really just will this offense, they have nothing to play for. They're only playing to ruin teams' chances at the playoffs. So for them to come out and play the way they did is amazing. And it's amazing to see Chris Godwin back at full strength. Seeing that devastating leg injury was really sad, but to see him back on the field and doing his thing, the Bucs are always gonna be really good, just due to their division. I know we've been talking about divisions a lot in this episode, but because they are in that division, they're always gonna be really, really good. So they'll bounce back, of course, but this is definitely an ugly game. I feel like all the games were shitty weather this week.
Yeah, and that was a game that was played in Florida. Another one was in Jacksonville as the Jaguars beat the Colts 36-19. And the storyline coming out of this game is that Daniel Jones, he suffered a torn Achilles. He's out for the year. And it's just really sad because I think he already had like a fractured fibula and he was playing through it. So he's out there basically on a broken leg. And because he was already playing hurt, his body was basically overcompensating. And that's how he ended up suffering the Achilles injury. And it's really sad because this Colts team starts 7-1. Now they're 8-5. As you said earlier, it doesn't even look like they're going to win another game this season. And now they're bringing in old man Phillip Rivers, as we've been joking about throughout the podcast. So it's just really sad for the Colts because especially after the first season, since Jim Irsay, their longtime owner, passed away and he has his daughters running the franchise now, they went all in. And then the injury bug got to them, not only with Daniel Jones, but with one of their biggest acquisitions, Sauce Gardner. So it's really sad in Indy, but at least they have the Hoosiers, as this next game is a bit of a stinker, but it was a matchup of 2 of the top quarterbacks coming out of the draft this past season as the Titans beat the Browns 31-29.
God damn it. Shedeur Sanders is the man. He's the franchise quarterback. We've been saying that week in, week out. Watching that game live, I really think the NFL needs to investigate because they were down 14. They scored a touchdown, go for 2 for no reason, miss it when they could have just kicked the field goal and trust that you're going to get the ball back. And then if you get the ball back like they did and score a touchdown, you kick a field goal to tie the game. And then when you don't get the 2-point conversion, you go for it again, and you don't have Shedeur Sanders on the field, and you have Quinshon Judkins throwing across the field pass. I get it. You know, this game is really the first 7 weeks. It really depends on what you do the first 7 weeks, and that will depend on what the rest of the season looks like. But they're blatantly tanking it. It's sad.
Yeah,
but Cam Ward got a second win of his career, so I'll do this for Toddy because I know he would do it if he was here.
Yep, Toddy had to step away for a moment, and the show must go on as this next game, the Vikings beat the Commanders 31-0. And the significant thing about this is that the Vikings had just got shut out the week prior, and then for them to get a big shutout like this was impressive for a bounce-back game for them. The thing that was sad for me in this one is another injury, as Jaden Daniels just comes back from his second injury of the season, and he ends up going out hurt in this game as well. But, I mean, J.J. McCarthy, I guess he came to play in this one, 16-23 for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns, but the biggest focus here is the Vikings defense. Too bad it's too late for them because that improved them to 5-8. As Kevin, a team that I'm worried about is the Seattle Seahawks, who beat the Falcons 37-9.
Dude, this game was like, what, 6-6 at halftime? I was like, oh, my God, this is the last thing the world needs is Kirkio swag surfing at home. Like, this is the last thing the NFL needs. We already got Jameis on NFL Fox giving speeches. You know, the last thing we needed was a Kirkio W. But the Seahawks turned it up when they needed to. JSN, again, we're going to hit the offseason. We're going to do our rankings, and it's not crazy to say he's the best receiver in football. I know Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson have had really bad years. But when they have bad years, someone steps up and takes the crown. And if it's not JSN, it's probably Puka. So JSN's going to put himself in some interesting conversations towards the end of the year.
Where's JSN from?
The Ohio State University.
Yes, sir. Wide receiver U. And the craziest part about Jackson Smith and Jigba this season is I look back at that game that he had against the Texans where he absolutely cooked them. And yet we see how great this Texans defense has become. And for JSN to do that against them, it just kind of shows his greatness even further. As this next game that I'm getting to was a great one in Buffalo, another game that was hampered by the weather, but that's what you're going to get with December football. As in snowy Buffalo, New York, the Bills prevail against the Bengals 39-34. And the Bengals, they basically just coughed this one up. They're up 10 in the second half, and Josh Allen, he led a comeback charge in this one, and it was interesting because at halftime, it might have been Gronk, I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but one of the analysts on the Fox Sports halftime show said, the Bengals are about to lose their last snowing game in Buffalo, and then they go on to win this one 39-34. And so I don't know if they had the TVs on in the locker room or something, but the Bills, they come back to beat the Bengals to move to 9-4, and the Bills really needed this win. So good for them. As you talk about investigations, Kevin, this next one might have needed a little bit of an investigation as well, as I alluded to at the jump. The Broncos beat the Raiders 24-17.
Dude, I mean, shit. Kicking a field goal when there's no point really raises a lot of eyebrows. This was another game that was closer than it needed to be. I come on here every week and say how bad I feel for Saquon Barkley. 15% of his runs are hit before he even gets to this line of scrimmage. But goddamn, Ashton Jeanty, man, he has such big hopes. And to see him play behind this abysmal O-line, the Raiders got to figure things out. But, I mean, the Broncos are one of the best teams in the NFL, and they show it week in and week out. They win ugly and they win pretty. So it's funny to see.
Yeah, I can't figure this Broncos team out because they're 11-2, but yet they are winning all these games just so closely. And as you alluded to, both of these games against the Raiders this season have just been way too close. Okay, they get the field goal late. It could have been double digits. But I think back to that game in Denver on Thursday Night Football when I think the Broncos won 10-7. And so it's like, okay, they're still winning games, but how is this going to look when they get to the playoffs? Nevertheless, Broncos win their 10th game in a row. As Grey Wolf is quite happy in the comments. He says, Vegas called, and then he sent a bunch of smiling emojis. As the next game was another good one. The Packers beat the Bears 28-21. And I wish Toddy was here to talk about this one because his boy, Caleb Williams, a top 15 quarterback in the NFL since his junior year in college, He was driving in this one, and it looked like he was going to lead the Bears to another game-winning drive, but then he threw a red zone interception as Keyshawn Nixon came in and won the game for the Packers. And this was good for the 49ers. The fact that the Packers won this game, knocked the Bears down. But now that I think about it, it's like, okay, the Bears could have been 10-3. Packers would have been 3-2 or 8-4-1, excuse me. But it was a great game nonetheless. The NFC North is arguably the best division in football this season, and this game kind of just showcased that. And so it was a great one. Speaking about another great division, the NFC West, the Rams beat up on the lowly team in the NFC West as they went to Arizona and beat the Cardinals 45-17.
Dude, for 1 week it's Devontae Adams. Next week it's Puka Nacua. Then it's Blake Corum and Kyren Williams. They have a lot of things going for them. And it's fair to say that Matthew Stafford should win MVP. I don't think he will. I think one of the new shiny toys might, as in being Bo Nix and Drake May, just because of what they're doing for the teams. The Rams are always pretty good. But to see the Patriots and Broncos at the top of the division, like we always joke about, you think Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are playing. But the Rams continue to find out ways to win games, and they're hot right now. They're the best team in the NFC for a reason.
Yep, that hits the nail on the head as we wrap things up here on episode 171 of Stats Over Politics. Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent. The podfather, Jaevon Toddy, had to step away for a moment. Hopefully he can rejoin us here in the last couple minutes, Kevin, as we get to the college football playoff bracket has been revealed with the 12 teams. And leading up to it, we had a great matchup in the Big Ten championship game between number one, The Ohio State University, the reigning defending undisputed national champions, who you and I are both a fan of, versus number two, Indiana, who they have not necessarily come out of nowhere this year because they were in the college football playoff last year where they lost in the first round, but they lost to a team who went on to play in the national championship game, that being Notre Dame. And now Notre Dame, they are quite upset because they are left on the outside looking in at the college football playoff. And yet you have teams like Tulane getting in. You have James Madison getting in, who they are conference champions, but I'm personally not a fan of it. But before we get into who should have been and who should have been in and who should have been out, let me just read off the 12 teams. So in order, we have number one, Indiana, number two, Ohio State, number three, Georgia, number four, Texas Tech, who won the Big 12, number five, Oregon, number six, Ole Miss, number seven, Texas A&M, Gig'em, number eight, Oklahoma, number nine, Alabama, number 10, Miami, and then number 11, Tulane, number 12, James Madison. Just what was your reaction to these 12 teams, Kevin? And did you have any gripes with them?
I just think we got to get to a point where for the at-large bids for the P5s or the outside of the P5s, I guess, I think there should only be one. I don't think there should ever be a time where both a James Madison and a Tulane make it because they're both going to get their teeth blown in. So now we have to wait 2 weeks to watch that. I would have rather seen a Vanderbilt. I would have rather seen a Notre Dame. Because this is essentially a money grab. They extended the playoffs to bring in more money. You want to host these home playoff games. Imagine an Ole Miss Notre Dame, Oregon Vanderbilt. Like it's more exciting. You're gonna get more money, and if that's the end all be all, we gotta get this fixed. And it just goes to show that conference championships don't matter because Alabama got their teeth blown in and made it. So there's a lot of things, but there's no rules with the committee, and they're never going to tell us what they think. But at this point, scrap the committee and scrap the week rankings because it makes no sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with you when it comes to Alabama. But for me, it's like if Alabama's still going to get in after getting stomped out in the SEC championship game by Georgia, and the reason why the committee kept them in is not only because I think that they have a bit of favoritism and bias towards the Crimson Tide, but also the biggest thing that they wanted to emphasize by having the Crimson Tide get in is that they didn't want to penalize teams for going to play in their conference championship game. They didn't want them to lose on purpose leading up to it to not get to that point or what have you. And so the notion was basically, if you're already in going into your conference championship game, then you should stay in afterwards. But yet that's kind of tough for a team like Notre Dame, who, like I said, they were in the finals last year and they lost to the Buckeyes. They looked good in the first half. I mean, Riley Leonard had that crazy first drive where he was exerting all of his energy, running all over the place. Now Riley Leonard might be starting for the Colts coming up this week if he can get through his knee injury. But back to college football is, I feel like you can't have either or. If a team like Alabama is going to get in, then a team like Notre Dame has to get in too. Because, like you said, Kevin, James Madison at 12, like James Madison used to be in the FCS. Now they're in the college football playoff. Like, kudos to them. Congratulations. That's awesome for them. But they're going to get dog walked at Autzen Stadium down the street from you in Oregon. And then you look at Tulane going against the Lane Kiffin-less Ole Miss Rebels, and they're probably going to lose by a significant margin as well. It's unfortunate for these lower schools, but I feel like at this point, they shouldn't make it at all. Because unless you get a team that is just looking like an absolute juggernaut, beating all of their competition by 30, 40 points every game, then I don't think that they'll compete with a team like Oregon or a team like Ole Miss out of the Big Ten in the SEC. And so if we're going to have a 12-team college football playoff, then I feel like it should be the best 12 teams. And Tulane and James Madison, they're not two of the 12 best teams in the country.
I don't know when Cincinnati made it and they got their teeth blown in.
Exactly. And we see that time and time again. And so it's like, I don't even know if James Madison and Tulane should be considered top 25 teams. And maybe that's just my own personal bias towards bigger schools. But this just isn't the best 12 teams in the country to me. And now we're basically giving the 5th and the 6th seed a bye week instead. It's just, it's tough. Kevin, before we get out of here, let's make a prediction. And it's unfortunate that Toddy had to step away because I feel like I know where my prediction's going, and
we can post a graphic.
Oh, okay, we will post a graphic, but do you want to tease and just save it for social media, or do you want to say who you think is going to win the college? Okay, better question.
I was going to say we can do week by week graphics.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's. Do you want to save that for the graphics, or do you want to talk about those real quick? Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Just so there's no backtracking, so I can't say this team's going to win, and I don't pick them.
Okay, fair enough. I respect that because I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, and so don't want you to have to backtrack. So that's going to do it for episode 171 of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics and on X at Stats Over Politics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode number 171 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon Toddy, Kevin Dent, Kaz Johnson, Alex Dent, and Gary Singh, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on Friday, Kevin?
Yes, sir. Episode. Friday. Monday, NBA pod.
We will see you on Friday for another episode of Stats Over Politics. Peace.